Good afternoon, Year 4. I hope you've all had a lovely weekend and that you're ready for your second week of home learning. So today I'm going to read you chapter 5 of Varjak Paw, the Outlaw, and I've managed to find a funky background for today's read. So I've really been looking forward to listening to the rest of the story. I hope you have too. So chapter 5. Varjak woke in the secret alleys. It was late afternoon. The first streetlights were flickering on. High above, a few bright windows lit up the dark outlines of city buildings. The snow had stopped, but it was still freezing cold and the wind chilled him beneath his fur. He huddled by one of those grills in the ground, beside a drain pipe. It didn't smell good, but at least it was warm. Holly and Tam were already up. They'd been searching the secret alleys for food, but they hadn't found a thing. Where do all the mice go in winter? Sighed Holly. I wish I knew. Maybe Mrs. Mogg will have some. You ready to go, Varjak? He nodded. He felt better after sleeping, and he was hungry again. But Tam looked worried. She was crouched in a corner by a fire escape, nibbling nervously at her paws. We're not going now, are we? She said. I dreamed of the white cat last night. What, Sally Bones? Said Holly. Shh! Don't say her name. She'll hear you and then she'll... Tam, calm down, said Holly. It's okay. It's not okay. She'll be looking for us after last night. Well, we can't hide from her. We can't hide from her forever. We've got to eat. And Mrs. Moggs always has something good to eat. Tam bit her fur. I'm not hungry. Now that's a first, grinned Holly. She leaned in close to Tam and whispered temptingly, think of the mice, the fresh, tasty mice. Too risky. Hot, juicy mice. Tam licked her lips. Stop it, she pleaded. Melting in your mouth. No, I said stop it, Holly, and I meant it. I'm not going out. It'll be night soon, and she'll be on the prowl. Fine, said Holly. Stay here on your own. Come on, Varjak. She slipped out through the railings. Tam gawped. Come on, Tam, said Varjak. He knew it was risky, but he was going with Holly. He couldn't imagine being in the city without her. Besides, he wanted to meet Mrs. Moggs. He emerged from the secret alleys into the winter afternoon. Clutch was squatting in the rubble guarding the railings. He barked cheerily at them. Where you go? He asked. We're meeting the cats in town, said Holly. Cats? He blinked. Clutch come? Holly frowned. Of course you can come. Only you'll scare them. It's just that, well, you're a dog, Clutch, and we're cats. Varjak could see her point. He didn't like it, though. He hated the idea of leaving Clutch on his own. But Clutch seemed relieved. Clutch not meet cats, he said. Clutch stay. He planted himself firmly down in the rubble again. It looked like nothing would ever shift him from the spot. Tam not go? He panted. No, she's too scared, said Holly. Silly Tam, barked Clutch. Yes, she's a very silly Tam, said Holly loudly. And she's going to be hungry, Tam, too, because we won't be bringing back any food for her. No juicy mice, no scrumptious fish, nothing. Tam squeezed out through the railings. All right, I'm coming, she said, but only because I'm a greedy, stupid Tam. They all laughed, and the three cats set off into the city. Just for a moment, Varjak thought he saw a flash of winter sun through the clouds, lighting up the sky, and then the clouds closed, and it darkened quickly. It was late afternoon, so there were many people about, bustling and striding along the pavements. The main roads were full of screeching, roaring cars. The three friends avoided them and ducked to alleys where these noises faded, and it was quiet enough to hear their own paws padding through the snow. This was the world of cats, invisible to people, but going on constantly just below the city surface. There were many walls before them. Holly always found a way over. She led them up lofty ledges, along strips of scaffolding, and down the other side. Varjak loved climbing walls. It felt free, up in the air, off the ground. This is how it should be, he thought to himself. The city's a magical, wonderful place. It's our place, and now we're going to meet some new friends. But as night fell on the city, even Holly looked nervous. They came to a wall with clusters of barbed wire along the top and thick metal bars. It was scarred with holes. Posters were peeling off. Graffiti was sprayed all over it. I think they're making this place sound a bit dangerous. They climbed up carefully and tiptoed forwards, avoiding the wire, keeping their balance on the edge. One misstep and they'd fall or be ripped to pieces by the barbed wire. Varjak's awareness tingled with danger. At first, he thought it was because of the wire. Then he wondered, was someone following them? His fur prickled up. He focused on the sounds. And there, beneath the rumble of the city, he heard paws padding behind them. They were being followed. Whoever it was couldn't be friendly, or they would have said something by now. Varjak's happy thoughts vanished like sun behind the clouds. The city wasn't magical. It was dangerous. You had to fight to survive here. There's someone behind us, he whispered and whirled around. Holly and Tam turned with him. Facing them on top of the wall in the moonlight, Varjak saw 3 cats he'd never seen before. Tall, thin Siamese cats with tawny fur and pale green eyes. Their claws were long and curved. They looked lethal. It's the Scratch Sisters, whispered Holly. Good fighters. The best fighters in the world, declared the leanest, meanest, tallest of them all. I'm Eliza Scratch. These are my sisters, Militia and Pernisher. Who are you? I'm Holly. We've met before. Holly, said Eliza Scratch. Yes, I recognise you now, and your fat friend Tam. But who's that funny-looking cat with you? You there, what's your name? And we can see a picture of them there. Varjak didn't know what to say. Who were these cats? He could tell they weren't Holly's friends. It was best to be careful. I'm new in the city, he said. New? Said Eliza. Where do you come from then? Mesopotamia, he said brightly. The Scratch Sisters stared at him, eyes narrow, fur flattening in the wind. Mesopo what? Said Eliza. Mesopo who? Said Militia. Messed up wherever, said Pernishka. He's obviously not from round here, is he? He looks like trouble. Just look at that cut on his cheek. Varjak tried to smile. Oh, that's nothing, he said. I just fell down some stairs. He's lying, snapped Eliza, polishing her claws on barbed wire. He's a cocky little so-and-so, said Militia. Pernisher flashed her claws at Varjak. You disrespecting the Scratch Sisters? You think we're stupid? Get off this wall, you don't belong here. Varjak's heart jumped. He hadn't meant to, but he'd made them angry. He looked around for a way out, but there wasn't one. He was balanced finally on the wall. On one side was barbed wire, on the other a long, long fall. Eliza's tail thudded slowly. Well, what are you waiting for? We're the fastest claws in town, and we're never, ever going back down. Never, said Militia. Ever, said Furniture. The three Siamese knifed towards him, ghosting past barbed wire and bars as if they weren't even there. Take it easy, yelled Holly. Varjak's my friend, he's okay. He got that cut from fighting Razor, you know. The Scratch Sisters stopped, just a whisker away from Varjak's face. He could feel their eyes on him like points of pale green fire. Varjak, said Eliza at last. You're Varjak Paw? We've heard about you, said Militia. They say you fight like the bones, said Furniture. Try it, go on, just try it and we'll cut your throat. Varjak's pulse was racing. This was becoming a nightmare. He wasn't going to fight them, not after what happened with Razor. There had to be some other way to deal with these fierce, proud cats. But what? He held up his paw very slowly. You're right, he said. It's true, I can fight like Sally Bones, but that wouldn't be enough to fight against the Scratch Sisters. No way! You're too powerful. I wouldn't stand a chance against you. No one would. The Scratch Sisters blinked, surprised. The fire left their eyes. Purled Eliza. Maybe he's not that bad after all. He knows what's what, said Militia, grooming her tawny fur. I still say he's cheeky, said Furniture, but he's got a bit of respect. Not like her. No, he's not like her, Eliza nodded gravely. Okay, we'll let you live poor, but if it's true you fight like the Bones, you'd better watch out. She's been hunting down the toughest cats in town and beating them one by one. There's only a few of us left. Her gang's taken over almost all of the city. It's not like the old days anymore. Watch your back. And with those words, the Scratch Sisters were gone. Faster than Varjak could see, they jackknifed down from the wall and ghosted into the evening, tails held high. So that's the end of chapter 5. In that chapter, we were introduced to some new characters, the Scratch Sisters. What did you think of them? I have a feeling that we're probably going to be meeting them again. I wonder if Varjak could take them on in a fight. Okay, join me tomorrow for another 3 o'clock read to read chapter 6. Have a good evening.